We will now proceed to the presentation of our guest speaker and candidate for an honorary degree. Dr. Ellen Casey, Professor of English, Director of the Honors Program, and Distinguished University Fellow, will present Suzanne Strempek Shea as a candidate for the degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters. Dr. Joseph Dreisbach, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and Frank McDonald, Esquire, of the class of 1960 and Chair of the Board of Trustees, will read the citation for Ms. Shea. Ms. Shea will then offer her address. Dr. Dreisbach and Mr. O'Donnell.
Jesuit education from its inception granted pride of place to literature. As a result of their experience at the University of Paris, St. Ignatius and his companions shared the humanist conviction that the goal of education is to advance the common good, and they deemed the study of humane letters the best means of cultivating responsible citizens. The first generation of Jesuits invented a course of studies that recognized literature's potential to shape students' souls, making them wise, more sensitive, increasingly aware of the expanding world around them, and better able to appreciate their responsibility to labor along with God in saving that world. 5 centuries later, educators in the Jesuit tradition still cherish authors who write so as to make the world more gentle and just. And today, the University of Scranton celebrates the accomplishments of a woman whose works achieve those aims. In her novels, short stories, and autobiographical works, Suzanne Strempek Shea acknowledges the postmodern predicament of fragmentation, while simultaneously proposing the antidotes of family, faith, hope, and love. Her prescription often has a Polish-American inflection, familiar to many residents of northeastern Pennsylvania, but its application is universal. Grounded in a world filled with polkas, pierogi, oberkas, and oplatki, Suzanne Strempek Shea writes from a sacramental and Ignatian perspective, seeing grace operative in the ordinary. The lives of her characters and the style of her prose call out to readers, encouraging them to appreciate life in all its fragile beauty. Because of their transcendent dimension, her works can move us beyond the narrow confines of the self and to our limited and limiting perspectives. They touch the heart's core with words of consolation, inspiration, and challenge.
Therefore, we, the President and Trustees of the University of Scranton, in solemn convocation assembled in accord with our chartered authority, declare Suzanne Strempek Shea, Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, that she may enjoy all the rights and privileges of this our highest honor. We have issued these letters patent under our hand and the corporate seal of the University on this, the 26th day of September, in the year of our Lord, 2003.
If I knew that, I would have brought my accordion. Dziękuję bardzo. Oh my gosh. You know, I'm a hat person, so I have to say I would have driven the 4 hours just for this. But an honorary degree and to see my dear friend elevated to president of a most prestigious university and to hear one of my favorite polkas done so beautifully. I'm just overwhelmed. I thank you all for how kindly you've treated me since I've arrived yesterday with my husband Tommy. I have long felt an adopted member of the Pilarz family, and I also now feel like you've all taken me in here at the University of Scranton. And I'm about to tell you a little bit of why that maybe isn't so odd. I do want to note one thing. As as we were cowling over here, I heard a train whistle. And when I arrived here yesterday, I heard a train whistle, and my grandfather has ties to this city, and I was thinking yesterday he arrived by train, so when we heard the first one yesterday, my husband said, your Jaji was telling you he's here, and I just heard it again, and it was just lovely. So, and I know you didn't plan that, maybe you did, but anyhow, thank you so much for this honor. I wish that everyone could feel the joy and special thrill that I now feel that I not only know such a wonderful man and community that he is in, but that my work has meant as much as it has to him, and also to the two ladies who were in the procession who wanted me to sign books. I thought that was very cool. So, Scranton. Does that sound exotic to you? Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe you've been here for your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior years. Maybe you've been here since July. Maybe you've been here all your life, and maybe you were the altar boy to the bishop. Maybe you know the streets here better than does MapQuest.com, on which I had to look, by the way. I don't. As I said, I was never here before yesterday. However, Scranton, for me, has been the stuff of lifelong wonderings and myths. Exotic indeed. Because the first thing I knew about Scranton was one thing, that Jaju came here as his first home in America. And after that, things were never the same. A little less than 100 years ago, my maternal grandfather, Stanislaw Chmielewski, previously of the Zakopane region in southern Poland, newly arrived in the U.S. through the proud port of Philadelphia, made Scranton his first home here. And who can know the exact sequence of events that led to that, but it's a safe bet to say that word of jobs up here spread to the newcomers, and perhaps he hopped that train. Then a teen, he struck out for northeast Pennsylvania and his future. As I rode here yesterday afternoon, I imagined Jaju taking a similar route. And again, he might have traveled by that train. I was in a Honda on a highway. It conveniently led from my western Massachusetts home right into Scranton. Basically, now I know the directions. You get on 84 and you take it till it runs out. And there you are. And there I was, right in this city of new starts, Scranton. I know this place to be where Jaju went into the mines and came out with fuel. Filthy, dirty, sickening work that earned him money and won him a first foothold in the new country. Money that was saved and allowed him to move on to Western Mass, where he married Mary Kulik from the canvas mill, built a home, opened a restaurant, had 3 kids, the youngest of which, Julia, would become my mother. And that woman would marry a tire maker who would join her in oohing and awing over every little stick figure my sister and I ever drew, every sentence we wrote. These were not people who ever majored in psychology or how to raise a child. They were just encouraging people. And fast forward 30 years or so, and that encouraging has powered my attempt at book writing. And in 1994, the first of 5 that I've since published came out in the bookstores, and the second of which ended out in the bookstores as well in '96, and ended up in the hands of Father Scott, who wrote me a note to say that he wanted to use the book in his class at Georgetown. And I was gushing to friends, he's a college professor at a real school. He's a smart guy. And I'd show them the letters and I'd say, well, what do you think that S.J. after his name means? Is that like junior or something? All I knew was a college professor in a big deal school wanted to use my book. I was so proud. He used the book. I visited the class and I visited again. He used the book again. I visited again. The smart guy became a friend. He shared his friends with me. Guys named Leo, Otto, Jack. He shared his family, mom and dad, stories of sister, brother-in-law, gorgeous niece and nephew. Fast forward again to today, on which I'm becoming an honorary doctor here in Scranton. And I'm not kidding you, it is a genuine thrill. And I could make all kinds of corny word pictures and comparisons to my grandfather going down in the mines and doing his work, and now the granddaughter getting to this amazing point. Okay, so I will. How could I not? How could I be in Scranton for the first time to receive an honorary degree? How could I be here in the city that really fueled my Jaju's story and not point out how that figured in my own, in Scranton? I see it as a place of starts. Here I am, finally, on this date of a big new start for Father Scott Pilarz, for the University of Scranton, for this city, for Jesuit education, and for so many of you who will be studying and getting your futures started here. I stand here newly cowled, with renewed admiration for the friend who has come to these same hills to which my Jaju journeyed a century ago. Unless there's something weird about his office, he'll be toiling above ground. But he'll be doing a version of what Stanislaus did here. Reaching, searching, working, hoping to find, to locate the stuff that can fuel. He will be mining this institution, these students, these minds, the community's souls, all in the hopes of moving in a better direction toward a brighter and more promising tomorrow. The work will be hard, tiring, all-encompassing, but it also, and I can guarantee you this, will be done joyously, hand in hand with others who hold the same goals of education, inspiration, betterment of self, and of this world. Scranton, to me, it stands for that, new starts. And the new president of the University of Scranton, inaugurated on this day, could hardly be a more qualified miner. Good, kind, benevolent, energetic, faith-filled, great taste in music. Going into this with eyes wide open, bearing the tools of pen and prayer, poems and promise, and a polka. We stand on the shoulders of all who came before us. I have that quote on my desk at home. I have that truth with Stanislaus Milewski and with Father Scott Pilarz. Those of you who know him share that blessing. Those of you who have yet to know him are in for some incomparable energy and experiences. I can describe my friend with the words of Irish poets, but these are better known as the rock group, the Saw Doctors, who say, "Bare your soul for all to find, an earnest heart and an open mind." To quote a certain bard of New Jersey, "These are better days, baby." Stanislaus Milewski, Scott Pilarz, rare, precious gems from the mine of God. Both came to Scranton, and I assure you, things will never be the same. Dziękuję, Bóg zapłać, 100 lat.